Welcome to the Consulting Leaders Podcast, where we talk about the business of consulting. Whether you're looking to grow your practice or learn from the stories of leaders in consulting, you're in the right place. I'm your host, Guillaume Jouvencel, ex-PwC and co-founder of GHA Marketing. Join me as I interview the best consultants in their niche. Let's get on with the show. Satish, welcome to Consulting Leaders. Happy to have you.
Thank you very much. It's my pleasure.
Well, let's jump straight into it. What got you into consulting, Satish?
Great question to start with. So just to give you my background, I started my career in technology consulting as a software engineer. So started back in India, in a firm called Infosys. I was a technology consultant, and then moved to US, and then moved my job into moved to McKinsey as an IT consultant. So I was working at McKinsey in the IT consulting space. And then after a couple of years there, I moved to the industry, retail industry, fashion retail, Ralph Lauren. That is one of the areas where I learned a lot, apart from my industry standpoint. Consulting, I've done IT consulting for a lot of time, and then went into the industry. Then over the course of time, I did my MBA from Cornell, in strategy and operations, because I wanted to move from IT side. I learned that strategy is a great area. Once I was in McKinsey, I learned I want to be there in the strategy area. So I did my MBA in strategy and finance in Cornell. And then I got into Deloitte Consulting as a strategy and operations senior consultant. And then I moved back to the industry, Michael Kors, in the US as their strategic planning director role, head of strategic planning. Then basically after COVID, I had to return back to India due to family reasons. And then that's when I set up my own consulting firm, StrategyStack Consulting, in 2021, during that time, exactly in August 2021, where what I saw is there's a gap. I wanted to provide McKinsey, Deloitte-like services to small and medium companies. When I was working with a lot of consulting firms like Deloitte and Accenture and even McKinsey, what I saw the gap is there are a lot of firms that can't afford these kind of consultants, and there is that market which actually wants that kind of quality but wouldn't afford them, right? So, and that is a space that I saw from my perspective, and we started working with small and medium clients, helping them on strategy and execution. So other white space that I saw is, one consulting firm does the strategy, the other consulting firm does the execution. So especially coming to the smaller firms, there's no end to end. So that is also a gap that we saw that we are trying to fill. The third thing that we're trying to do is not billing based on the hours, because consulting is an hourly job, hourly rate kind of a thing. So, but we look at the value that we're generating rather than just billing the hours. So our model is an outcome-based model, and within our space, within the consulting, StrategyStack Consulting, we have three verticals. One is consulting. Because we are also based in India, we have an offshoring space, and then we're now building a platform for enterprise value. We're calling that Enterprise Value Accelerator. So we're doing consulting services, offshoring services, and then providing a platform, an AI-based platform for now with the AI coming in. So we're building an Enterprise Value Accelerator with all the AI agents. So that's how we have progress. It's been 5 years since we are in the business right now. All our clients are specifically in the retail fashion industry, if I would say, because of my industry background and my consulting background. So we've been able to capture a little bit of the retail fashion market.
So that's for the client side of things. Let's put a pin on it, Satish, and get back to it in a second. Can you first help us understand what is the problem that you help your clients solve right now? Like, what is it that you're helping them achieve?
Perfect. So there are three problems and I'll tell you exactly with an analogy so that it's easier for the audience to understand. A layman analogy, if you may, right? So first, I'll take a house. If your house is worth $1 million and you want to increase the house value to 1.5 or $1.6 million, what are the things that you would do? So there are three things that we are doing. One, you fix the leaks. So wherever there are leaks that are happening, because as soon as you have if your roof is leaking, if your sink is leaking, the value of your house has gone down, right? That's the first problem. Second thing is, if you want to really increase your um, uh, the house value, you would redo your interiors. You would modernize your interiors, right? You would basically bring in new kitchen, or you would remodel your kitchen or bedroom or bathroom to make it look really nice. So when a new buyer is coming in, you know the value of the house is increased. Then the third thing, even if you want to go even further, you would actually add an asset on top of it, which will bring you more revenue. Something like adding a basement. um, if you don't have a basement, you can invest some more money in putting a basement, and then you can rent it out or you can use it yourself, but the overall value of the house has gone up, right? So now, coming back to our consulting speak, these three, I'll convert that into enterprise value. So company has an enterprise value. Every company has a value, right? So if you want to increase that value, so first you would have to fix wherever your leaks are so that your value is not getting reduced. So we do a cost optimization program. We come in and look at all your areas where you're leaking, where you're supposed to be efficient and optimized. We optimize those areas, be it IT, finance, HR, supply chain, operations, and making sure that you're optimized to the level that you are supposed to. Second, we modernize your digital infrastructure. So when we say digital infrastructure, getting in new tools, technologies, you might be running on 20, 30-year-old applications, but getting to a more modernized processes, systems which are scalable. Your old processes are not scalable, right? So getting them into a scalable processes and systems that will help you to grow further, because those systems are actually hindering your growth, or processes that are hindering your growth. So we replace them with the systems that will enable you to scale further. Then the third thing is, we actually help in M&A value capture. So we actually have done a couple of M&As ourselves with the help of several partners in the retail fashion space. Uh, and we actually ensure that the value is created when you acquire a brand.
So you help businesses,
Improve their enterprise value overall. That's
yeah,
the
like um, I was gonna say reduce their cost, but that's not the right word. It's
yeah,
like fix what's not working or fix where
yes,
the business is losing value,
bleeding,
the leaks.
bleeding.
You
Yes,
help them increase their value by putting new processes in place, new systems,
yep,
and then you
yes,
help them optimize for potential exits or acquisition,
or
whatever it's in
yes,
that to be. Cool.
exactly.
Who do you typically work with? So you mentioned retail earlier. Is that the
Yeah,
industry that you play in? Like, who's your
yeah.
ICP?
Currently it's a fashion retail industry. Mostly the fashion retail industry that we're playing in. Our ICP is the CFO. We basically working with the CFO and his team. The controller in terms of costs, or the CFO is actually getting us in terms of doing all of these three things. So, and then we're working with his team. Sometimes we do work with in smaller companies. Now that we are working for smaller company, we used to work for enterprise clients. So enterprise clients, we work with the top layer. But then when we are getting into the smaller clients, we work with the boards and the CEOs, and they're bringing us in, and then CFO is also part of that. So. So we work mostly with the CFOs, CEOs, and the boards. So these are the people that bring us in, and then the teams come in and they work with their particular teams in the business. It can be supply chain, it can be finance, it can be IT, um, and anywhere, because depending on the problem that we're fixing, we work with that particular team.
Do you have a specific location that you typically work in? Like, so I guess it's going to be US, UK, right? Is that so? Retail
Yes.
companies, rather large,
Yeah.
working with
Yes.
the
So
CFO in the US and the
yes,
UK.
in the US and Europe, UK, Italy, um,
Cool.
and we are also based in India, right? So we are an India and a US company. We have a location. We have an office in US. We have the office in India, um, and we are and that's the cost arbitrage. That's basically me moving back to India actually provided that cost arbitrage. You're not really paying that high premium of bringing in these big guys, and we are able to provide the service from India at a very reasonable rate. And getting the value, so they can see the value both from the consulting perspective and also from doing these projects. They are also seeing the value coming um, out of the project.
How do you? So that's, I mean, literally Italy, US, um, fixing the leaks,
Mm,
improving the value, preparing for M&A,
yeah.
working the CFO, their team, the controllers. How do you how do you market? How do you brand, Satish? How do you get the attention of the right people when the footprint is that global? India,
Yes.
Italy, US, retail.
Yes.
So how do you brand? How do you market? What has worked for you to get into the rooms with the CFOs who are going to say, "Yeah, I'm interested into that actually."
Yeah. So far, um, one, we've built a great network within this industry. So my network, I've been very grateful to work with all of my clients currently in various. Uh, so we've worked in the past. So it's we the past relationships that we've cultivated over the last 15-20 years have become my clients now. So that's how. Um, uh, that's basically the first channel. The second is how do we market or brand ourselves. So a couple of things that have helped us. LinkedIn has helped us, with our marketing, with our thought leadership that we're putting in. Me, myself, and my team. They're all putting in their own thoughts. They're writing their white papers. They're writing their. I'm writing. I'm on LinkedIn actively along with my team. um, all the individual consultants, they're actually putting their own content there, so they're spreading the word as well. And then the third is we do attend some major conferences where we see the retail leaders, or the finance CFOs go. So we are basically present at those kind of events, so that we are networking better. So it might not be me all the time, but we're able to someone in my team is able to be there at some or the different event, just to ensure that either we're doing like at least I'm doing a speaking role, or being a part of a panel, so I'm able to put that. So one is the thought leadership on LinkedIn, and then the other is the speaking roles or a panel is helping me, and then ensuring that we're present at critical points where we're able to network. So that's
LinkedIn,
so a couple of things that we are that we can improve, in my opinion, is the outreach. We're not doing an actual outreach. Like we're not pinging everyone and um,
which is
getting
not a
on.
bad thing if you ask me, but yeah.
Yeah. So, but we do what I do is, when I'm in the US, I tend to meet up my old relationships. Like try to see if they have something open, or so that's the networking that we do, rather than an email outreach. That's pretty rare because it's very difficult, in my opinion, uh, to get someone on an email. But that's my opinion. I might be wrong there, but yeah.
That's totally fair. Again, the idea is to discuss
Yeah.
what works for you, right? So it's interesting to
Yeah.
see how you're thinking about lead gen and branding in general. But I think so.
Mm.
LinkedIn for thought leadership conference to activate leads is pretty
Yes.
common, and it works, right? At some point,
It,
you don't need to
it does
reinvent the
work.
wheel.
Yeah.
Exactly. You,
Yes.
you just go, and network obviously is a big part of the consulting
Mm.
firms lead gen journey. How do you? So talk to me about sales cycles. So how do you move from this LinkedIn, content, this conferences interaction to a one-on-one conversation, a
Yeah,
sales conversation, an
yeah,
SOW, a RAC, a letter of engagement? Like, how does all this look
yeah.
like for you guys?
Yeah, yeah. So basically, when we either it's going to be it's mostly it's inbound for us. People reaching out and saying I have a problem to solve, or or we touch basing with them, okay, understanding, and then we try to know what if there any problem that needs to be solved, right? So once we know that there's a problem to be solved, so we start with the discovery process. We do a discovery call to understand more in detail. Um, at least a little bit in detail of what the exact problem that we're solving, so that we can actually come up with the right solution for it, right? So there's a discovery call, and then if needed, we also do a assessment. If the problem is a little bit big, then we basically do a 2 or a 4 week assessment, depending on the engagement or the size of the problem, to actually come up with the right solution. So there's a discovery call that's very like 1 hour in the follow up, but then we might not get the entire meet. Then we actually push them to a assessment, which will get us a lot of inputs, because we're working with all the enterprise, or all the stakeholders. When I say not the enterprise, but all the stakeholders, we're trying to get all the inputs from these stakeholders and then consolidate them, and then come back with a solution and a plan. And then we get into the implementation of that particular problem solution, because in the assessment we will actually know the problem. We also know what we are solving and the outcome that we need to come up with, right? Which can be justified for the budget that it's going to be. Like you're going through an implementation. That means there's going to be a budget, and well, what's the value coming out of that problem. So it starts off with the discovery, and then um, it'll lead to an assessment. That itself is one SOW, or a proposal for the assessment, and the assessment leads to one more implementation proposal. um, and then it might lead into ongoing uh, monitoring, maintenance, or support, or advisory. So that's our cycle, typically.
I like this. You have a well-oiled process. Which is more than 80% of the consultants I talk to. Which is again not a good or bad thing. It's just like people
Yes.
just get into this a bit by
Hmm.
accident when it comes
Yeah.
to consulting, or like
Mhm.
an opportunity presents themselves, and then it's just like word of mouth and so on. So they never really think through sales cycles. And I like that you have like
Mhm.
discovery,
Mhm.
assessment, onboarding, and so on and so forth. Did you build it like this from day one, or is it
No,
something that you improved as you
no,
went? How
not
did you
from
think
no,
about
no,
that?
no. Yeah, 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 not from day one. From day one, I was really, I can say I was really fortunate to have a contract from day one. So when I set it up, I had a contract with my former company. When I left US, I came back. They actually gave me a contract to start off, um, and then so I'm grateful to the team there, at Michael Kors and Capri, who gave me the opportunity to start my own um, company, and I had a contract on day one starting off, right? So we ran that. We didn't do an assessment, we didn't do a discovery for that. It was just, we had a discussion, and they're like, okay, I need you back here. And I'm like, okay, I can work. So but I just can't come back to US. So they're like, we don't care, you, as long as you're there, and I can see you on camera, so we're good. So we worked. That was a good relationship that we had, and we had that project for at least 3 to 4 years. So that was a long project, and I built my team as a part of that project. And then we started to solve various problems in that. We did cost optimization, we did transformation, we did M&A in all of those. So it's all of those three that came together. Like we did various things in the same engagement for 3 years that helped us put this together for smaller clients that we went after. So after my engagement with um, Michael Kors ended, Michael Kors or Capri ended. Capri is the parent of Michael Kors. So um, once that ended, this whatever we learned in this particular journey, we were able to put in a structured way, which help me get the other clients that um, post that project. So it didn't start on day one, to be really honest, and it wasn't that way. It only started once. It was a learning, and we failed in some instances. We didn't do a right discovery. We couldn't get to the right problem in a couple of client cases, but that's a learning for us. That was a really good learning, and then we came up with a really good checklist. Okay, this is how you actually run a discovery. This is how you actually run an assessment. This is how you actually come up with a value. And then now we're at multiple places. We're at multiple clients, which is helping us. Once we put that process in, once we put that system in, okay, how do you actually run an assessment, and how do you run it quick, because you're not wasting the time of all the people interviewing. So we kind of condensed. You're not running a 6 to 8 month, 8 week assessment. You're doing it in 2 to 4 weeks. So we condensed it, and with AI coming in, it really helped us to put this together. And we were able to succeed at least at a couple of places.
I guess that's a perfect segue to the next question, Satish, which is around retention, right? Which is at the end of the day, I mean, you're coming from McKinsey, you know that. You grow a consulting firm when you're able to have a reliable acquisition channel, obviously, but when you don't have a leaky bucket, and when clients
Yeah,
stay, and when you have ways to not like keep on billing them,
yeah,
but
yeah,
more like keep on providing value so that they're like, no, we solved this problem and now we have this new problem that arises from solving
yep.
this one, and we want you to help on this one.
Hmm.
So how do you retain?
Yes. Really great question, because we actually hire consultants for the engagement, right? This is the engagement, this is your job, this is what we need you to do. But then over the time, we realize that, okay, there's some really great consultants that they can do some other things, and then some are really sticking to their own path. I will do the next project only if I get this particular job, right? Others are a little bit flexible. I'm a generalist. I can do any kind of a project. If I'm an accountant, I will only stick to the accounting. Whereas if I'm a general consultant, I can do finance problems. I can do HR problem, because I'm looking at a problem. I'm not looking at a department.
Mhm.
So going back to the point, what you asked from a retention perspective, over the course of time, we kind of found some people who we want to retain, even
Mhm.
though their project ended, because of their skill set being so diverse, and they being adaptable, and they are flexible to take on from one assignment to a different assignment, because all our assignments, they're not the same. They're very unique. Each client problem is very unique.
Mhm.
So the same skill set will not apply unless you're really thinking, okay, I'm going to solve this problem, and I will learn whatever is needed to solve this problem.
Mhm.
So you need to have that, or else if you're stuck in your way of, I'm an accountant, I will only solve accounting, then you won't be set in an M&A problem, because I don't need an accountant in M&A, right?
Mhm.
So we were able to retain some really good people who are flexible, who are adaptable,
Mhm.
and the others are purely on a consulting basis. We bring,
Mhm.
okay, you're for this engagement, but if you really work with us well, and then I can see that we can put them in different places. I can use they have different skill sets that can be used. Then we kind of retain them, or
Mhm.
else it's consulting. It's an engagement by engagement basis. At,
Mhm.
at least for now that we're building, because we are in very early phases uh,
I
of the
like that.
company.
I like your style, Satish. So I'm going to throw a little bit of a curveball question at you now.
Yep.
What's your number one challenge right now? What's the one nut that you're trying to crack that once you crack, you're gonna take the whole thing to the next level? What would that be for
Yes. So that's a great question again, because I'm doing so many things. So I'm myself is a bottleneck. I myself is the enabler. That's how I see it. Because I'm a kind of control freak. I want to be in everywhere just to ensure that everything is going well. Because all the client relationships, or the clients that we're doing, I know them personally in the previous world. So I just don't want any of these projects that we're doing to fail, right? So I am in every place. I am running the company as a CEO. I am also doing the delivery. I'm also doing the sales, or in the sales cycle when a new opportunity comes through, running through the proposals, running through understanding the problem, coming up with a solution, then coming up with the right solution, setting up the right team for that, and then making sure that that kicks off. So that's the sales cycle, making sure that the delivery is going well. And one of the things that I want to mention here is my brother is actually in the business. He's my co-partner, and he's driving the delivery. So that is one part that I have completely delegated to him. But I poke in every now and then from a delivery standpoint just to ensure that you know I don't want to get a bad name with what I kind of promised to the client, right? So I just want to, so I'm making sure that the delivery is going well. And then the last challenge is now we are onto this platform that we're building. So we're spending a lot of time on the AI platform. We're building the AI agents for a couple of clients. So and this enterprise value accelerator platform. So I'm spending time on that as well. So it's a challenge from a time management perspective, wearing multiple hats. You're wearing the CEO hat, ensuring that the business is running. You're wearing the proposal or the future opportunity. Oh, I understand the opportunity. I'm solutioning it right. Then you're you're ensuring that the delivery is going well, and then you're ensuring that your product that you're investing in or your strategic initiative is going well. So it's fun, along with the other areas, which is the marketing or the content, like writing. So it's with the travel that's going back and forth. I spend my time in US and India, shuttle back and forth. So it's been but it's I love this challenge. I'm actually enjoying this. I give my 100% when I'm playing a certain role. If I'm in delivery and with the client, I give that 100%. I'm not thinking about, oh, I have to write this LinkedIn post or I have to write this proposal. I am with them 100% so that they get my time, when I'm there. So but this is something that I'm trying to build. So my next challenge that I'm trying to build is my next level team. I only have one. My brother actually took over the delivery, but then there's other leadership team that I need to build to ensure that we are scaling up. How I am telling my clients that you can scale up the same way, I need to think about how do I scale up.
Time management and reputation. Those are
Hmm?
two pretty common challenges, but that's the whole. I guess that's the whole business of consulting, right? It's
Yes,
once you've nailed client acquisition, it's nailing down delivery and time allocation of your resources and yourself, all whilst
exactly.
maintaining reputation. Because without a reputation, consulting firms simply
Yes,
don't have a business. On the other
yes.
side of the coin, Satish, what's I mean, and you mentioned that AI enterprise value accelerator. Um,
Yep.
what's a big opportunity that you see in your space? In the next 6 to 12 months, what is it? What is something that you're excited to work on?
Yeah, it is this one. So it is working on this AI. A lot of firms, especially they're trying to adopt AI. They're really kind of wondering. I know AI is coming. I don't know how to adapt, how to build this in my firm, what to do, what not to do. So I've had at least 4 calls this week with various clients, and the question is the same. Oh, I'm seeing AI. I don't know you know my top team is asking me how to leverage this. I need to bring this in, but I just don't know how. And we're trying to help them to bring in AI and adapt. And also, for me, at least, uh, now AI enables. Until now, I see it's not outcome based now, but AI is enabling outcome based. You can actually measure the outcome, so it's making it more easy to work with, right? So biggest opportunity is bringing AI into all the companies that really need, so that they can all be run properly, managed properly, and they the other thing is ensuring that it gives the return of investment. So whatever you're investing in AI, you need to be able to get that out in a different way. So I see that opportunity in the next 5 years as a huge opportunity for us.
Satish Peddada, ladies and
Yes.
gentlemen. Satish, if people want to find out more about you, see what you do, where should they go?
Uh, LinkedIn is where I'm there. So LinkedIn profile. Satish.Peddada. StrategyStack is the first place. And then we do have our website, StrategyStack Consulting, where you can see all everything that we do from a consulting side, from offshoring side, and the platform side. So
we will put all the links in the description. For what I'm concerned, Satish, I can say one thing for sure. It is that you've gained at least one new connection on LinkedIn out of this interview. Me,
yes,
I just added you. Satish,
yes, thank you,
so
thank
much.
you, Guillaume. Yes,
My pleasure. Thank you so much for coming on Consulting Leaders.
thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of the Consulting Leaders Podcast. We hope you learned valuable lessons on how to grow your practice and take your business to the next level. Make sure to subscribe and leave us a review wherever you're listening to this show so you never miss an episode. To apply and be a guest on the show, click the link in the description. See you next time.